The Buddha said, "The mind is the master of karma. The mind creates all karma." The essence of practice lies not in external forms, but in the transformation of the mind. It is recorded in the Buddhist scriptures that there was a devout believer who recited mantras and sutras every day without interruption. One day, he came before the Buddha and asked, "Blessed One, I recite mantras day and night, yet why am I still unable to attain enlightenment?" The Buddha did not answer directly, but instead told the story of a fisherman. This story not only inspired this devotee, but also illuminated the true essence of cultivation for future generations. An elderly fisherman lived by the banks of the Ganges River. Since childhood, he had followed his father, sustaining his life through fishing. For decades, unwavering as ever, he always held that heavy fishing net in his hands. As he grew older, the fisherman began to worry about the karmic offenses caused by fishing. Therefore, he decided to chant the Buddha's name daily, praying for the Buddha's protection and hoping to attain liberation. One day, a wandering monk passed by this place and saw a fisherman casting his net to catch fish while chanting the Buddha's name. The monk paused to observe and noticed that before casting his net each time, the fisherman would say, "Namo Amitabha Buddha, please forgive my transgressions." Each time he hauled in a net full of fish, he would say again, "Namo Amitabha Buddha, may you all attain liberation swiftly." Then the monk approached the fisherman and asked, "Benefactor, why do you both create karma and chant the Buddha's name at the same time?" He paused his action and sighed. He spoke slowly, "Master, I also understand creating karma, but this is the livelihood passed down from my ancestors, and I truly have no other skills to make a living. I thought that at least reciting the Buddha's name could lessen some of my sins." The monk nodded gently and then asked, "Donor, do you recite the Buddha's name every day?" The fisherman nodded. "Yes, from dawn till dusk, I recite the Buddha's name without fail." The monk asked again, "After chanting for so many years, do you feel any changes?" The fisherman shook his head and said honestly, "Not really, no changes. I still want to fish, and my heart is still filled with pain." The monk looked at the fisherman's fishing net and suddenly asked, "How often do you replace this fishing net?" The fisherman was a bit surprised, paused for a moment, and replied, "About once a year. If the fishing net is used for too long, the mesh will break." The monk pointed to the fishing net in his hand, paused in thought, and said, "If you use the net to catch fish every day, it will eventually tear. Reciting the Buddha's name every day, if the mind is not cultivated, how can the attachments in the heart be broken?" The ignorant man listened to these words and asked thoughtfully, "Master, what is cultivating the mind?" The monk did not answer immediately, but asked, "When you go fishing, why do you use a net?" The ignorant person says, "How can one catch fish without a net?" The monk said, "Have you ever contemplated that? Your afflictions are like fish, and your attachments are like the net. If you continually weave the net of attachment to replenish your afflictions, how can you ever attain liberation?" Upon hearing this, a wave of emotion arose within him. The words that followed, spoken by this person akin to a monk, not only awakened the foolish, but also revealed why chanting mantras is less effective than cultivating the mind. The monk continued, "Practicing the mind is more important than reciting mantras, because the mind is the root of all things. Just like this fishing net, what matters is not how large the net is, but understanding the true nature of the net." The ignorant man listened intently and put down the fishing net in his hand. The monk explained that cultivation has 4 levels. The first level is the recognition of one's own mind. The starting point of practice is to recognize the true nature of one's own mind. Just as a fishing net requires regular inspection to prevent damage, the mind also needs constant vigilance. Only by introspecting one's own mind and understanding the coming and going of each thought can one attain true insight. Which thoughts originate from purity, and which thoughts arise from greed, hatred, and delusion. Only by recognizing our own mind can we have the opportunity to transform it. The next step is the second level, letting go of attachments. The monk continued, "Practice is not about striving to obtain something, but about letting go of attachments in the heart. Every time you cast your net to fish, it reflects a certain attachment within your own mind. Whether it is attachment to livelihood or the helplessness toward life, both are forms of bondage. Only when we are able to let go of these attachments can our minds become tranquil and truly experience freedom. Letting go does not mean abandoning responsibility. Rather, it means releasing unnecessary entanglements and attachments. The third level is the purification of the mind ground. The monk told the fool that the purification of the mind is an ongoing practice. Monks gently explain that the ultimate goal of cultivating the mind is to awaken to the true nature, to see the original face of one's own mind. The process of cultivation involves continuous self-awareness and purification until one clearly perceives the most authentic state deep within the heart. When we are no longer troubled by superficial afflictions, the mind can return to its original tranquility. The heart becomes as clear as water, and the truth naturally manifests. If one makes a mistake, he nods slightly and continues to ask, "What is the difference between reciting mantras and cultivating the mind?" The monk smiled and replied, "Chanting is an external practice. The Dharma is boundless. The Dharma is boundless. The Dharma is boundless. The Dharma is boundless." The ignorant man looked thoughtfully into the distance and asked, "Then, what should one pay attention to during the practice of cultivating the mind?" The monk nodded and began to explain in detail the 4 key points of mind cultivation. The first point is mindfulness of the mind, constantly observing the state of the mind, recognizing the arising and ceasing of thoughts, and not being swayed by delusory thoughts. Just as you constantly observe the state of desire, examining every hole in the net, allowing no oversight or neglect. We must maintain clear and mindful awareness, always attending to the movements of our mind. As long as the heart is aware, it will not be led astray by invisible thoughts. The second point is letting go. Let go of attachment to external circumstances, relinquish calculation of gains and losses, abandon the pursuit of fame and fortune, and release distinctions of right and wrong. Just as you let go of desires, no longer clinging to their forms, but instead learn to go with the flow of cause and condition. Letting go does not mean giving up. It means freeing the mind, no longer being bound by external judgments and self-attachments. The third point is purification, cleansing the mind of greed, anger, and ignorance, resolving accumulated resentments, eliminating erroneous views, and restoring original tranquility. Just as you cleanse desires, removing the stains within, the purification of the mind is the removal of accumulated afflictions and impurities, allowing the inner being to regain brightness and tranquility. The fourth point is abiding, which means abiding in the present moment, not clinging to the past or the future, maintaining the mind's tranquility, and experiencing its true nature. Abiding is not passive. Rather, it is a composed mode of existence. It frees you from worrying about the past and from anxiously anticipating the future, allowing you to focus solely on the present moment, resting peacefully and freely within the tranquility of your own mind. The monk paused, then more firmly emphasized that the key to practice lies in the 4 transformations. First, shift from seeking externally to introspection. We are always accustomed to seeking externally, looking for stimulation and satisfaction from the outside world, whereas spiritual practice precisely begins from within the heart. Return to the inner awareness and mindful attention. Second, transition from attachment to letting go. We often cling to our own views, habits, and attachments, while letting go allows us to no longer be bound by these, releasing true freedom. Thirdly, transform from fabrication to naturalness. We often habitually strive to arrange, to control everything, but the path of cultivating the mind lies in relaxation and natural awareness, letting go of intense subjective will, allowing the mind to naturally reveal its true nature. Fourth, transform from diluted thoughts to clarity. Our minds are often disturbed by delusory thoughts, making it difficult to attain tranquility. The practice of cultivating the mind aims to eliminate these distracting thoughts and restore the clarity of the spirit. The fool nodded thoughtfully and asked, "Then, what is the fundamental path of cultivation?" The monk looked at the fool and slowly said, "True cultivation lies in maintaining awareness, letting go according to circumstances, and returning to the original mind. Maintaining mindfulness means being aware of what you are doing, aware of what you are thinking, and aware of what you are feeling. Letting go according to conditions means not forcing outcomes, not clinging to gains or losses, not being concerned with right or wrong, maintaining a broad and open heart, and going with the flow naturally. Returning to the original mind refers to recognizing the nature of the mind, experiencing the tranquility of the mind, and abiding in the freedom of the mind. The process of cultivating the mind is precisely the continuous return to one's own heart, the return to the original mind, recovering the tranquility that has never departed. The monk continued to explain that cultivating the mind has 4 additional benefits. First, when the mind is serene and pure, afflictions naturally dissolve. When the mind is pure and tranquil, all afflictions, fears, and doubts naturally disappear. No matter how the external world changes, the inner mind remains serene and stable. Secondly, when wisdom arises, truth naturally manifests. When a mind is free from lustful thoughts and attachments, wisdom can effortlessly flow forth, and truth will spring forth like a clear mountain spring. Thirdly, the elimination of karma. Past karmic obstacles gradually dissolve. The process of cultivating the mind not only purifies the heart and mind, but also resolves the karmic obstacles accumulated from past actions, thereby purifying our lives. Ultimately, as merit and virtue increase, future blessings naturally grow. Through cultivating the mind, we not only dispel internal obstacles, but also accumulate merit, resulting in abundant rewards. Upon hearing this, Yufu's heart trembled with emotion, and he asked, "How should I begin cultivating the mind?" The monk smiled and replied, "There are 4 steps in cultivating the mind. The first step is awareness, to observe the arising and passing of one's thoughts and intentions, and to understand the changes in emotions. Only by perceiving one's own thoughts can one truly understand oneself. The second step is acceptance. Embrace the present state without resistance or judgment, treating all thoughts with equanimity. This step is the foundation of practice. It is the process of relinquishing judgment and attachment. The third step is to let go, to not cling to any state or realm, to refrain from craving special experiences, and to avoid lingering in any condition. Letting go is not only about releasing external attachments, but also about relinquishing inner obsessions and clinging. The fourth step is abiding. Abide in the serene mind, maintain a state of awareness, and realize the original nature. True cultivation of the mind is returning to the simplest and most natural state. The monk concluded by saying that cultivating the mind requires gradual progress, and one should not be impatient for quick success. It is essential to be steady and down to earth. Cultivating the mind requires perseverance and consistency. It cannot be done sporadically, but must be maintained over the long term. Cultivating the mind requires seeking truth from facts, not blindly believing others, but personally verifying and experiencing the teachings. Cultivating the mind requires practical application in daily life. It cannot be separated from everyday living and must be corrected through ordinary activities. After hearing these words, the fisherman finally understood. From that day on, although he still made a living by fishing, he began to observe his own mind and no longer merely chanted the Buddha's name mindlessly. Gradually, he found his mind growing increasingly calm and his attachment to fishing diminishing. Later, he found other means of livelihood and completely let go of desire. This story teaches us that the key to practice lies not in external forms, but in the transformation of the heart. Reciting mantras and scriptures is merely an expedient method of practice. True cultivation lies in introspecting the mind and seeing its original nature clearly. Only in this way can one attain genuine liberation and achieve freedom in life. This is why the Buddha said that reciting mantras is not as effective as cultivating the mind. Only by cultivating the mind can one touch the essence of life and truly resolve the fundamental issues in existence.